You're watching Mirror 7 News. Stay informed, stay ahead for more news.
Greta Thunberg's latest journey has drawn worldwide attention, not for climate activism this time, but for her role in a humanitarian mission bound for Gaza. The 22-year-old Swedish activist arrived in Tunisia this week aboard the global Untitled Flotilla, a convoy of around 20 vessels carrying food, baby formula, and medical supplies intended for Palestinians facing severe shortages. At the port of Sidi Bou Said near Tunis, large crowds gathered to welcome her and the 350 international volunteers traveling with her. Many of those present described the arrival as a moment of solidarity as the flotilla prepares for the next leg of its journey toward Gaza. Thunberg addressed the cheering crowd, declaring that just across the water, people were experiencing what she called genocide and man-made famine. Her words were received with applause, though they were immediately at odds with Israeli officials, who have denied accusations of deliberate starvation and instead placed blame on Hamas and aid agencies. Reports from humanitarian bodies, however, have confirmed worsening famine conditions in Gaza. The United Nations recently stated that restrictions on aid had directly caused mass hunger. This claim has been supported by global rights organizations and echoed by activists such as Thunberg, who insists that governments have a legal duty to intervene. She specifically called on UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer to honor international law and act to prevent genocide. The flotilla's mission has not been without risk. Previous attempts to break the Israeli blockade have been intercepted, with activists detained or forced to turn back. Thunberg herself was seized in international waters earlier this year, along with other volunteers during an earlier mission. Despite that, she has returned, insisting that silence is not an option. People around the world are waking up, she said, emphasizing that ordinary civilians have stepped up where governments have failed. Life on board the flotilla is described as challenging but purposeful. Volunteers from more than a dozen countries live in cramped quarters, sharing duties such as cooking, cleaning, and night watch. Lessons on Palestinian history are held daily, and safety drills prepare them for the possibility of interception. Activists admit the risks are real. Some compare it to entering the belly of the beast, but say the mission's visibility offers some protection, as Israel would face international backlash if harm came to the volunteers. Organizers have stressed that the mission is not only about delivering aid, but also about breaking what they call Israel's illegal siege of Gaza. The ships will remain in Tunisia for several days to take on more supplies and volunteers before attempting to complete their passage. Israeli officials, however, have dismissed such efforts as political stunts, arguing that the aid is symbolic and does not address real needs on the ground. For Thunberg and her companions, though, the symbolism matters. They argue that the act of sailing toward Gaza, even under threat, demonstrates global solidarity with Palestinians and brings attention to suffering that might otherwise be ignored. Whether or not the flotilla succeeds in reaching its destination, its message has already been carried across seas, that ordinary people can challenge power, and that the struggle for justice is not limited by borders. Stay subscribed for more videos.